Good morning. I'm John Benson, a member and trustee of this church. Okay. And I welcome all of us who are members here and others present and all who are attending online. Almost 400 years ago, a few hundred English citizens sailed across the Atlantic to establish an English colony in this location. They were the first settlers to bring their royal charter with them, perhaps because their chosen location at the mouth of the Charles River was only about 20 miles north of the Plymouth colony established just a few years earlier. One of their first acts was to establish a church, one which has thrived, grown, and evolved into this church, which we now know today as First Church in Boston. Hence, we gather here again today on what we call Charter Sunday to begin our 395th year as Boston's original church. If you'd like to learn more about First Church Boston or Unitarian Universalism in general, please visit firstchurchboston.org or contact Reverend Stephanie May or myself during coffee hour. Coffee hour will be immediately following the service outside on the porch facing Marlborough Street. And we want to announce today that next week will be the annual water communion of our church, so come prepared for that, please. Thank you again for being here today. Let our service now begin.
Good morning and welcome to all of you who are visiting today, either here in person or online. I am the Reverend Dr. Stephanie May, and my pronouns are she and her. Today we gather beneath a ceiling of copper and steel and upon a foundation of concrete that rests on wooden pilings rising up through the watery remnants that once filled Back Bay. We come together as people whose ancestors may have lived oceans away in Asia, Africa, or Europe, or perhaps whose ancestors lived right here on the land of the Massachusetts. Today we gather to remember and honor that we live in a place of history, a history with motifs of tyranny and liberty, echoing throughout centuries of religious and political change. In this hour, may we remember the past in which we are rooted, even as we strive to become an ever more inclusive democracy within the walls of this church, throughout the streets of this city, and across this commonwealth and nation. I invite you now to rise in body or in spirit as we say together the First Church Boston affirmation, and I light the chalice, symbol of Unitarian Universalism. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. I invite you to take a moment to greet one another, perhaps saying hello to someone you've not met, and wave at the camera for the folks online. Hello and welcome. That's Bob Winkley does it. please remain standing as we sing together our opening hymn, number 106, Who Would True Valor See? Please be seated. I should have warned you that that was a great 17th century lyrics, but perhaps a less familiar tune. Our responsive reading this morning is adapted from John Winthrop's sermon, A Model of Christian Charity. The words are, I think it's like the third page in your order of service, if you want to turn to that. And if you can please read the italics. We must love each other with a pure heart, fervently. We must bear one another's burdens. We must not look only on our own things, but also on the things of our brothers and sisters. For this end, we must be knit together in this work as one. We must entertain each other in affection. We must be willing to abridge ourselves for the supply of others' necessities. We must delight in each other, make others' conditions our own, rejoice together, mourn together, labor and suffer together, always having before our eyes our commission and community in the work. Our community as members of the same body, shall we keep the unity of the Spirit and the bond of peace. Thank you.
Cantate Domino, Our first reading this morning is from the historian Conrad Wright. Since the church was a community of the saints, all of them equal in spiritual standing, the result has all the appearance of a little democracy. And congregationalism has often been eulogized as one of the sources of liberal democratic theory and institutions. This is, at best, a partial truth. The forms of democracy were surely present, but the rule of the elders in the life of the church was authoritarian rather than democratic, as the platform itself suggests. Samuel Stone, teacher of the church in Hartford, stated it epigrammatically: a speaking aristocracy in the face of a silent democracy. Yet, if it is anachronistic to represent the Puritans as incipient Democrats, it may be said that they adopted institutional forms into which later generations could breathe a democratic spirit. Here ends our reading.
Today. Well, for the folks, I really don't want to sing into this, though. So anyway, we will be replicating a process that was known in the 17th century as lining out the hymn. So, as printed music was generally not available for the general public, they would instead, everybody knew the tune. We all know this tune, Old 100th. And they would just have the words available to them, read to them or sung to them by a cantor, yours truly. And so it's sort of a call and response. So we're going to do that first verse as this call and response. The first note is always held. It's the tuning note. It's sort of what gets everybody singing together. Make ye a joyful sounding noise. Make ye a joyful sounding noise. Unto Jehovah all the earth. Unto Jehovah all the earth. Serve ye Jehovah with gladness. Serve ye Jehovah with before his presence come with mirth. Before his presence come with mirth. And now all together. Know that Jehovah, he is God, who hath us formed, it is he, and not ourselves his own people, and sheep of his pasture are we. Enter into his gates with praise, into his courts with thankfulness. Make ye confession unto him, and his name reverently bless. Because Jehovah, he is good, forevermore is his mercy, and unto generations all continue doth his verity. Thank you.
Please join me in a spirit of prayer or contemplation. Spirit of life and love, grant us a rootedness, a slowness. Our hearts are quick to harden, burdened by factionalism, division, and illusion. Grant us a slowness to ground and center through confusion, to curiosity, to clarity. We are quick to resign in defeat and despair. Grant us a slowness to recalibrate our expectations to the speed of spirit. As we root through concrete, through wood, through soil and water, may we find this sacred slowness, this spirit. As we root, we pray to recall our joys, our celebrations, our hopes, all that nourishes us through droughts and steadies us through floods. We pray in gratitude for the chance again to gather in worshipful community and to mark another new beginning. Grant us a slowness as we move through our days, that we might correct the focus of the blur of the world, adjusting the lens of our faith to find what has been overlooked, has been beloved all along, has been a miracle all along. May this sacred slowness sit with us as we're troubled, for the work of adjustment can be long and hard and painful. May this sacred slowness remind us, as we sit in the trouble, that we are loved already, worthy already, powerful already. May we feel the slowness of spirit not as resignation, but as a promise of all that we can be. In this slowness, may we find our voices and use them to make good trouble, knowing we are moving at the speed of spirit. We pray for the end of genocide in Palestine, the end of hatred in our communities, and the end of occupation and oppression and tyranny everywhere. Rooted in justice and centered in love, we pray impatiently, but steady at the speed of spirit. Loving God of many names, we sit in this sacred